next half hour, I'll be reading from the Investigative Post on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Did you know that nearly 300 license plate readers in Erie County are tracking you? Imagine you live in Kenmore and need to swing by the Walden Galleria in Cheektowaga. As you drive, a dozen AI-powered license plate reading cameras track your vehicle's movements. The make and model of your car, its color, your license plate number, even your bumper stickers are captured and stored in databases accessible to police locally and around the country. That drive isn't an isolated incident. 19 license plate readers will track a driver traveling from downtown to the mall and back home to Buffalo's west side. A trip from Amherst to watch a Sabres game at KeyBank Center involves a half a dozen camera captures, and from Clarence to a Bills game in Orchard Park, 3. You have no way of opting out. The cameras are everywhere, and there are no laws or regulations, save for local policy, governing how law enforcement agencies place license plate readers or cull the data they obtain. Across Erie and Niagara counties, law enforcement agencies have installed hundreds of license plate readers. They record vehicles on highways and main thoroughfares, on college campuses, near parks and public housing complexes, and in the parking lots of malls and other shopping centers. In Buffalo, they tend to be located in low-income neighborhoods. In the suburbs, they're most frequently placed near shopping centers and along major roadways. Many of the license plate readers are leased to local agencies by Flock Safety, a rapidly growing tech company that manufactures one of the most popular brands of license plate readers. The ones in Buffalo are made by a California firm, Genetic. Where license plate readers are located, police agencies in Erie County have confirmed they've installed 211 cameras. In Buffalo, there's 116, Cheektowaga 31, Amherst 24, Buffalo State University 12, Town of Tonawanda 12, West Seneca 12, and Hamburg 4. Over the last year and a half, local police agencies have made more than 218,000 searches of data obtained by the Flock license plate readers. Police say they're using the technology to find stolen cars, locate missing people, and solve crimes. In Amherst, for example, Captain Greg Huller said the town has seen a significant increase in stolen vehicles, and detectives have been actively using Flock to locate stolen vehicles or vehicles associated with larcenies. This has been the most common type of search, though we also use it for other types of crimes. But an analysis of Flock data by Investigative Post found they're often not specific about why they're searching for a particular vehicle, and in some cases, police use those cameras to track down migrants wanted by the federal government. This strikes me as a massive sort of dragnet surveillance system that is recording the location of anybody who happens to pass a Flock camera 24/7, constantly, said Jonathan Maines, senior counsel at the MacArthur Justice Center, whose research and litigation focuses on issues stemming from government surveillance. I think it's a massive invasion of privacy to be compiling a database of people's movements. Police are using the cameras nearly every minute of every day. Officers with 20 local agencies, Investigative Post found, searched for a vehicle in the Flock network of cameras more than 218,000 times over a 17-month period from January 25th through the beginning of June of this year, January 25th of 2025. That equates to a license plate search every 3 minutes. That count doesn't include Buffalo Police searches of its 116 Genetic license plate readers. It's not just local police that search the local cameras. Thousands of law enforcement agencies have installed more than 6,500 networks of Flock cameras across the country. Police in Western New York share access to their networks with hundreds of other departments, as they, in turn, have access to thousands of networks themselves. This story is based on an Investigative Post analysis of millions of flock searches performed by police here and around the country. Some of the data came via an open records request made by Scott Conway, a town of Tonawanda resident concerned about the use of technology, while other data was obtained via a website that compiles public record requests for flock data from around the country. In the Buffalo suburbs, where flock is used most intensely, residents are beginning to speak out against the constant surveillance. It's a panopticon that is and will continue to be abused, said Conway of the town of Tonawanda. I think there is nothing inherently wrong with the technology, but I think that strong oversight is required to use it without compromising fundamental civil liberties. In an interview, Flock spokesperson Paris Lebwell disputed that the company's cameras can track a vehicle's movements. He did not dispute, however, that an officer could trace a driver's path if their vehicle is captured by multiple Flock cameras. The license plate readers work by taking a point-time image of a vehicle in public view. After that picture was taken, you don't know if the vehicle turned left, if it turned right, if it stopped somewhere. Between January 25th and June of this year, January 2025 and June of this year, 20 local police agencies in Erie and Niagara County conducted more than 218,000 vehicle searches using the Flock for surveillance system. That's an average of 423 searches per day. None use the system more than Cheektowaga Police, who have queried the Flock system nearly 48,000 times over the past 17 months. The town has 29 cameras installed and 2 more on the way. On its Flock Transparency website, the town reports its cameras have captured nearly 545,000 license plates in the last month alone. Other heavy search users include Erie County Sheriff's Office, police in the towns of Hamburg and West Seneca, and the Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority. Local police search the Flock network daily. Daily departments in Erie and Niagara counties conducted more than 218,000 searches between January 2025 and the beginning of June 2026. At the top of the list is Cheektowaga with 47,918 searches. The Erie County Sheriff's Office comes in second with 40,634. The town of Hamburg, 36,666. The Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority, 13,790. The town of Tonawanda, 13,073. Amherst, 8,087. Officers frequently recorded only a vague reason for their searches. Common search labels include UUV, unauthorized use of a vehicle, INV, investigation, and ATL, attempt to locate. Officers also made thousands of search for larcenies, hit and runs, thefts, and traffic infractions, but few other details of who or what they were looking for are available in the data. Lou Bell of Flock said it's up to local officers to input the reason for their search. In only a limited number of cases did officers include details like the license plate number, a case number, or a description of the matter they were investigating. License plate numbers were redacted from the data Investigative Post found. In April and May last year, for example, Cheektowaga officers spent several weeks staking out a known house for drug users on Andrea's Place. They searched the license plate number of a car parked outside. Captain Jeffrey Schmidt, a spokesperson for the Cheektowaga Police, refused to answer questions from Investigative Post or make police officials available for interviews. He instead pointed a reporter to the department's policy governing the use of license plate readers. That policy states Cheektowaga may use such cameras for identifying stolen or wanted vehicles, stolen license plates, and missing persons. It may also be used to gather information related to active warrants, homeland security, electronic surveillance, and suspect interdiction and stolen property recoverment, the policy states. State and local police conducted 107 searches of local flock networks to assist ICE, Border Patrol, or Homeland Security. That includes 36 searches by Buffalo Police, a dozen each by Cheektowaga and Lancaster, the Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority, State Police, and the New York State Crime Analysis Center also used local cameras to assist federal immigration agents. A Buffalo Police spokesperson noted that assisting federal agencies on criminal matters does not violate Mayor Sean Ryan's ban on city employees assisting with civil immigration enforcement. Police elsewhere also search local cameras for immigrants. In April, for example, 60 police agencies, most from Texas and Florida, conducted more than 600 nationwide searches for migrants that included cameras located in Cheektowaga. NFTA police use their flock system to assist the FBI and other unnamed federal agencies. The data shows 1,700 searches related to FBI investigations and another 500 to assist federal investigations generally. Those searches mainly concerned activity at the Buffalo Niagara International Airport, Chief Brian Patterson said, where the NFTA has a limited number of flock cameras. A half a dozen are located along the access roads leading to and from parking lots, according to open source data. Patterson declined to elaborate on what kinds of cases his officers work with federal agencies. It's another investigative tool that law enforcement agencies use to solve crime and protect citizens, Patterson said. We use that in our transportation spaces to deter terrorism, to make sure we can respond effectively to missing persons, and to prevent and deter and apprehend stolen vehicle calls for service. Lewell said any collaboration between police and federal agencies is at the local level. Searches of the flock system by the Sheriff's Office, Hamburg Police, and West Seneca Police involved broad categories such as, quote, investigation, as well as more specific queries like hit and runs, traffic infractions, and various kinds of thefts. The Sheriff's also uses flock for narcotics investigations. That accounted for more than 22% of the agency's searches. Buffalo Police used 116 genetic license plate readers, though department spokesperson Timothy Richards said the cameras don't integrate with the flock system. That's 12 more readers than the department had when Investigative Post first reported on the technology 3 years ago. Investigative Post sought interviews with the 20 police departments named in the flock data. Only 3 granted interviews, while police officials in 3 other departments answered questions via email. The other 14 departments did not respond to phone calls and emails or refused to comment. Police who spoke to Investigative Post argued license plate readers are an important investigative tool that they use routinely to find missing vehicles and persons and to solve crimes. Hamburg Chief Peter Danes told Investigative Post his department has 4 flock cameras installed at an annual cost of $12,000. We use them as an investigative tool to determine which vehicles may have been at the scene of a crime. Since implementation, they have been very valuable in identifying numerous stolen vehicles entering our town, and they have been used to solve crimes that without the cameras may not have been solved, as well as locating missing persons. Town of Tonawanda Captain Joseph Milosik similarly described Flock's cameras as a very nice tool for investigations and follow-up. In several suburbs like Amherst and Cheektowaga, residents have been showing up to town meetings to criticize police use of the technology, and experts Investigative Post say use of the cameras may amount to unlawful surveillance. Absolutely, it's mass surveillance, said Chris Van Pelt, a researcher and journalist who created the website Have I Been Flocked? To compile data on police use of Flock nationwide. Anthony O'Rourke, a University at Buffalo law professor, said use of the technology could run afoul of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches. He pointed to a recent Supreme Court ruling that found mass data collection by police constitutes an unlawful search. Ultimately, he said, my position on this comes down to I don't want our police, nor any police in this country, to have unfettered access to surveillance in the public. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Investigative Post on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The worst landlord in Buffalo? The Buff Real Limited Liability Company, owned by Menachem Zippel, is the city's most prosecuted property owner in recent years. His company owes more than $400,000 in fines, fees, and taxes, and most of his properties are in foreclosure. No landlord has been prosecuted more often in Buffalo Housing Court the past 2 years for building code violations than a limited liability corporation owned by Menachem Zippel. 13 of Buff Real LLC's properties have gone to court since 2024. The company currently has 7 open court cases against it. The company owes $351,659 in court-ordered fines and demolition fees, according to public records reviewed by Investigative Post. It also owes the city and Erie County $80,041 in property taxes and garbage fees. More than 20 of Buff Real's 30 properties, many of them vacant, have gone into foreclosure. Nearly 1 in 4 of the company's 29 properties in the city have burned. Zippel's companies face violations ranging from lead paint contamination and rodent infestation to sewage backups and failing to maintain vacant properties. As the company has failed to maintain its properties and pay its bills, living conditions have deteriorated for its tenants and their neighbors. The company's properties have 123 active building code violations, generated 327 calls made to 911 since 2020, prompted 307 calls to the city's 311 complaint line. Rats live in there. It's been on fire. It should be torn down, Dennis Young said of the Buff Real property on his block of Bates Avenue in the Seneca-Babcock neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood wants to see it gone. He was irresponsible, added Michelle Bays, 39, who lived in one of Buff Real's properties in Lovejoy for 2 years. Investigative Post spoke to a dozen tenants and neighbors who lived in or near Buff Real properties. Those interviews and public records reveal a pattern of problems, including loss of heat or electricity, lead paint, rodents and pests, deteriorating roofs, and vacant properties with squatters. In one case, a tenant had experienced years of raw sewage flooding her basement. Lou Petrucci, commissioner of the city's Permits and Inspections Department, said Buff Real's negligence has been on his staff's radar for years. It's not just one broken window. This is an individual who deferred maintenance because they lost their job. This isn't. This is a lot of properties with a lot of violations that have not been cured. Zippel, 33, did not respond to multiple requests for comment. There are 2 vacant properties on one street. Buff Real began acquiring properties in 2018. Nearly half of them are on the city's east side, while the rest are scattered between the west side, South Buffalo, and Black Rock. The company purchased 124 Bates Avenue, located in the Seneca region in June of 2023. Young, 62, has lived across from the house for 5 years. One night in September 2023, after a few years of seeing squatters come and go from the vacant bungalow, he watched it go up in flames. The assessed value is $113,000, and unpaid court fines and tickets $16,921, and there were 10 311 calls. Everybody's reported this house one time or another, Young said. For a while, there were shoveling rat poison in there. Young and two neighbors said they've seen city workers boarding up the house, but not once in prior years have they observed Zippel or anyone else from Buff Reel checking in on the property. He believes 124 Bates' vacancy is dangerous for children and families. We're getting more and more little kids in the neighborhood every year. They're sprouting up all over. We can't keep the kids out of there. Down the street at 210 Bates, a property Buff Reel purchased in November of 2020, also sits vacant. Between the two Bates properties, Buff Reel has been hit with $32,417 in court-ordered fines as of July 10th. The company defaulted on mortgage for both properties, leading to foreclosure proceedings. A limited liability corporation owned by a different investor bought 124 Bates in May. Young and other neighbors confirmed that the new owners gutted the house in recent weeks. Buff Reel was a no-show for its most recent court appearance on July 10th. Housing Court Judge Philip Dabney levied an additional $1,000 in fines for property neglect. 90 Hamburg Street, a vacant property in the First Ward, has been in Housing Court 6 times, according to court documents. It was back there last week. Buff Reel acquired the property in November 2023. Trouble started shortly thereafter. 2 tenants were evicted in April of 2024, according to Housing Court records. Over the course of that year, the property became vacant and was overtaken by squatters. During visits, inspectors found drug paraphernalia and signs of squatters throughout. On the morning of October 18, 2024, the building caught fire. Buff Reel began receiving court summonses for the property December of 2024. The court appointed Zippel a lawyer, Richard Berger, but Berger withdrew his representation in May of last year. The owner has made no effort whatsoever to maintain this property, resulting in severe and widespread deterioration, City Housing Inspector Robert Roman wrote in July 2025. That month, the city ordered a demolition. A year later, the house is still standing. Petrucci said the city plans to demolish 90 Hamburg later this month. He added the house follows the same pattern as other properties owned by Buff Reel. The property is not properly maintained. It's not properly boarded. We get squatters, there's a fire, and then we end up demolishing it. This seems to be a recurrent theme. Keisha Casey, 39, has lived at 20 Elmer Avenue in the Kensington Bailey neighborhood since November of 2022. In the time she's rented from Buff Reel, Casey has dealt with everything from raw feces in a flooded basement to a collapsing deck and roof. In March, the County Health Department cited Buff Reel for failure to maintain 20 Elmer in clean and sanitary condition after a flood filled Casey's basement with sewage. On top of that, Casey has received notices that her water could be shut off. I'm just on edge. I don't know if I'm going to have to move, Casey said. Buff Reel bought 20 Elmer in June of 2021. The company hasn't paid taxes or sewer bills for the property since that year. City records show the house is headed for foreclosure. Like 20 Elmer, 42 Wilson Street has been in housing court since 2024. As of July 10th, 42 Wilson currently faces $39,763 in fines, the most of any Buff Reel property, save for 90 Hamburg Street. It, too, burned in a fire 5 years ago. Neighbor Chris Hawley, 45, told Investigative Post that the property has long been abandoned and a blight on the community, which he credits to the notorious deadbeat landlord. However, Hawley, a preservationist and urban planner working on Mayor Sean Ryan's demolition team, thinks 42 Wilson is worth stabilizing. Fundamentally, it's a good house, Hawley said. It's not one we're angling to get demolished. Hawley may have to advocate for the city to save 42 Wilson. On July 10th, after Buff Reel failed to appear in housing court, Dabney scheduled a demolition hearing for September 3rd. Zippel and his company are not the only problem landlords operating in Buffalo. Investigative Post has previously reported on Andre Foster and Joseph V. Parlato, but Petrucci said Zippel's company has been especially challenging. This is more than just the routine maintenance. This is someone that has routinely run up a series of various fees, taxes, and demolition fees that are only in the city of Buffalo. This is not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable for the citizens of the city of Buffalo. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Investigative Post on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Rivera Bojack win in an earthquake. Jonathan Rivera trounced Erie County Democratic Party boss Jeremy Zellner in a state Senate primary race. Adam Bojack handily beat Zellner's endorsed candidate in an assembly contest. The results leave the party leadership at sea. Assemblymember Jonathan Rivera's victory Tuesday in the primary for the 61st District State Senate seat throws Erie County Democrats, already split over who to support for county executive next year, further into turmoil. With strong backing from organized labor, Rivera walloped Jeremy Zellner, chair of the Erie County Democratic Committee, by nearly 10 percentage points. Buffalo attorney Adam Bojack, a Democratic socialist, also backed by labor unions, scored an even more lopsided victory over Karen Hoke of Hamburg, the party's endorsed candidate, in a three-way primary to succeed Rivera in the 149th District Assembly seat. Bojack won by more than 16%. The victories constitute, quote, an earthquake, Rivera's father, Niagara District member David Rivera, told Investigative Post at the campaign's shared watch party on Buffalo's west side as the outcome began to be inevitable. Several elected and Democratic Party officials on election night and the morning after told Investigative Post, none willing to be quoted by name, that the loss jeopardizes Zellner's future at the helm of the party. Some suggested Zellner would be asked not to run for another term as chair when Democratic committee members meet in September to elect new officers. Zellner did not respond to a request for comment. Fillmore District Council member Mitch Nowakowski, of party vice chair, said it was important that the party put this bruising primary season behind it and unify in advance of next year's race for county executive. The race has already opened a fissure between Democratic leaders. Zellner and Erie County Executive Mark Polenkars, who will not seek a fifth term, support Lisa Chimera, Polenkar's deputy. Others are backing Erie County Comptroller Kevin Hardwick. Assemblymember Patrick Burke is considered a run too. Next year, we will have an open county executive seat for the first time in 16 years, Nowakowski said. In order to be successful in that race, a large, unified Democratic apparatus needs to be solidified, and we need to work on that now. Cheektowaga Town Supervisor Brian Nowak has maintained a détente with Democratic Party leadership, while sometimes bucking its dictates. On Election Day, he campaigned for Bojack, a fellow Democratic socialist. Things need to be different, he told an Investigative Post Wednesday morning when asked about Zellner's future, but declined to elaborate. On Tuesday night, union officials led the crowd at the Tabernacle, the corner of Grant and West Ferry Streets, to a thunderous celebratory chants. People are angry and they feel like they don't have a voice, Burke said. Couple that with the organizing power of labor, and last night doesn't look like much of a surprise. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the
Good morning. Welcome to another broadcast day in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, a private not-for-profit organization